Welcome, bienvenue tout le monde à notre séance publique de 17 janvier 2022. Happy New Year to everyone, wishing you good health. So I'm here today with Councillor Stephen Erdling, Councillor Mike Cohen, Dita Burku, Mitch Kajowski, Lior Azarad, Sydney Benizri, Andy Schuster, and Oren Sabag, as well as staff that are on the screen. It's wonderful to be back. I know we had a bit of a snowstorm, but we're moving the snow away as fast as we can. Thank you to our Public Works Department. Keep up the great work. As usual, we will have a moment of silence to pray for all those that are in hospital or ill with COVID or any other illness, and wish for their speedy recovery. Okay, so as everybody's been following the news, we know that the situation with hospitalizations is not in a great position. Although the Omicron variant is less deadly because it's so widespread, there's still more deaths each day, and our hospital system is overwhelmed. So what we can do as individuals are two things. I mean, they keep on saying it over and over again, but I'll say it again as well. Vaccination protects you, masks protect you. Those are the two things that we can do as individuals. I know many of you are eligible for your third dose, go get it. I know some of you are immunocompromised and are eligible for your fourth dose, go get it. Those are things that will improve your safety and the safety of others by having less of the virus around, and of course wearing masks. And they're now saying N95 is the way to go. If you really want to be protected, you should be wearing the N95s, and that's the best mask to wear. So you may as well get the best mask, wear it, and of course wash your hands and physically distance. But really, yeah, vaccinate yourself. Our numbers aren't great with respect to, I think we're in number 28th place, Côte Saint-Luc, in terms of vaccination. We're at 72%, and we're in 28th place. It's not the place we want to be. We want to be in first place. So I challenge all Côte Saint-Lucers to go and get vaccinated. Okay. So before we start the meeting, I just want to make an acknowledgement of two individuals who passed recently that were important to our community. The first, Sam Wigdor. Sam Wigdor founded the Côte Saint-Luc Ski Club, which eventually became the Côte Saint-Luc Ski School. And I was one of the kids that was, at Merton School that went to that ski school, and Sam Wigdor happened to be my bus captain. And he was a great guy. At the time, Terry Druick was in our Parks and Recreation department who worked with the ski school, and then Louise Ferland joined later, and she remembers spending a lot of time with Sam talking about skiing, and he's the one that even got her to learn how to ski. And he really, at the time when he started the ski school, he knew that in the 70s, a lot of kids didn't have that opportunity to go skiing, and other parents didn't have the ability to take their kids skiing. So he wanted to start a club that would help. It was all volunteer based. So I'll tell one story about Sam that I remember very well. It was in the 1970s, and there was a tremendous storm, and we were on the bus, and the highway stopped completely. The storm was so big that all the buses stopped, and we were in there, and there was no way to go. It wasn't moving. So Sam and other volunteers decided that they were going to find a place for the kids to sleep overnight. So they went out in the snowbanks on an expedition to find a place, and they found a church somewhere nearby, and came back to the bus, and we all followed in single file to that church basement. And about midnight, we got cheese sandwiches, and in the morning we had Kentucky Fried Chicken for breakfast. That's what they could find, but it was a fun experience that I'll always remember. And it was thanks to Sam Wigdor and the volunteers of the Côte Saint-Luc Ski Club that not only taught us how to ski, but also to be kind to each other. And he was he always told great jokes, and made us really feel good. And I've passed on to my children how to ski, and also hopefully some of the other lessons that Sam taught us all. I don't know, we don't have pictures of that. That was in the 70s, and I didn't do the videos and pictures that I did later in life. But the other person that has been very close to my family for many years and to the residents of Côte Saint-Luc is Cecile Klein. She passed away this week. She was the oldest woman in Canada. She was 114 and a half. And Cecile's daughter, Harriet, was very good friends with my mom since university years. They met, I think, at McGill when they were 17, and they've been friends ever since, close friends. And we've had the benefit of knowing Cecile. And what we know about Cecile, and we could show some of those pictures, is she always came to Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society productions, even in her hundreds. I mean, she started coming, I think, in her hundreds. Here she is at her 107th birthday at a Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society, Catch Me If You Can. And she came to Hairspray. And she came when we did Wager. At Wager, we did Fiddler on the Roof, and she didn't complain about climbing the stairs. As a matter of fact, she said she enjoyed the exercise because we didn't have elevator access, but she wanted to see Fiddler on the Roof. And the one thing that you'd see about Cecile, even in her later years, this was at Hairspray, when she was in Maimonides for the last few years, she would always have a smile on her face and always be positive. We had her 112th birthday party there at Maimonides, and we were allowed to go in before COVID. I was there with my mom. And then when we weren't allowed to go in last year with the lockdown, we had singing a concert from outside. And this year it was better. So we had a concert in the garden. And Cecile was always happy and relaxed. And I think that's a lesson for all of us. If you're smiling and you're relaxed, I don't think we'll necessarily make it to 114, but certainly having a positive outlook and taking life as it comes and smiling and being happy is good for the body, good for the soul, good for the mind, and helps us all have long life. So I send my condolences both to the Wigdor family, to the Klein family, to all their children, grandchildren, in Cecile's case, great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren. And let their memory be a blessing and an inspiration for us all. Okay, I think there's one more picture you might have had there of the 112th birthday, Daryl. Did you have that one? I think so. Yeah, that was 112. Pretty amazing lady. I remember we said to her, so make a wish. And she said, I made my wish. She was always positive and happy. All right, great. So now we will go on to the agenda, and we will start with question period.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a reminder for the rules for the first question period. We have an online form that residents could fill up until 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting. It's an interactive form, and then we receive an email with the question. And we are going to read it out loud. So I'll start with the first question period. We have 2 questions tonight. The first question is from Norman Sabin. Can you update us on the Cavendish extension? Where do we stand? Have any timelines been proposed? How would the cost be split amongst Côte Saint-Luc, Montreal, Quebec, and Canada?
Thank you for that question. There has been a new election, as you know, and Mayor Plante has been reelected, and there's been some changes in terms of the mayor of TMR and the mayor of Côte-des-Neiges NDG, and we have met. And Councillor Burko has been attending AGLO meetings and is going to provide more of an update on our meetings to date and where we're going forward from now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, in fact, we have met since the election. We've met with the mayor of TMR, with the mayor of Saint Laurent, with the mayor of Côte-des-Neiges NDG. The new mayor, Côte-des-Neiges NDG and TMR are both new mayors to this dossier. It's the group of 4 mayors, as we call them, for the Namur de la Savane district, because that's those are the cities and towns and boroughs that are most affected by the Cavendish extension. We've also met with the executive committee person responsible for Cavendish, who is Sophie Mazerol. And we are planning to have a meeting very shortly, as right after the AGLO agenda, the AGLO budget is adopted at the end of January, because everyone is very, very busy with the AGLO budget right now. So it's going to be adopted at the end of the week. And after that, we can go on and have a meeting with regard to the Cavendish. Our first objective target date is the BAP hearings. We want to push the Cavendish extension project to go to the BAP. It's the Bureau d'Audience Publique de l'Environnement. And we did get a commitment from the Montreal executive and from Mayor Plante that we would be going in the spring of 2022. So we have to push on that front. And once we do that, then we will be able to have the project presented to the public. The public will have a chance to give their say. And once that happens, then we can go into the planning stages. As far as costs are concerned, that is really the tricky part, because Mayor Plante said, and the administration of Montreal said at the last meetings that were held on this subject at the budget, that they wanted Quebec to participate in the costs. So, it's hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's going to be a big challenge. And I think all the mayors of all the island of Montreal, including the demerged cities, should assist Montreal in lobbying so that we do get financing for this major project. But one step at a time. Now we're pushing for the BAP. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burku. Next question.
The next question is from Mickey Harar. The agenda for tonight's council meeting is silent on the issue of the illegal synagogues in Côte Saint-Luc. When can we expect to hear some news on that dossier? What is the city's plan to address the illegal synagogues in Côte Saint-Luc? Please provide a timeline for its implementation, and what are the steps involved?
Okay. Mr. Harar, first of all, we haven't been anything but silent. In fact, you asked for a meeting with me personally, and we had one last week, and I answered all your questions, and I'll repeat them here. And you wanted some technical advice, and I put you in contact with the legal department so you'd understand how referendums work. So we're anything but silent on it. We've made a commitment that in March, we're presenting 2 bylaws, one dealing with strip malls, adding additional usage to strip malls and other places. The other dealing with the PCMWA bylaw, which will require the non-conforming institutions to apply for the additional status to be legalized. We're having meetings with the rabbis from the shtibels. We're having meetings with the rabbis from the mainstream synagogues, from the church. We're also looking at all the different possibilities based on zoning for where it would be in the future useful and legal to have religious prayer. So we're meeting as a committee on a regular basis. We met last week, we're meeting next week. We have a date to go public, and we have certain documents that we'll be presenting to the public, including a map and explaining all the different zonings and what you're allowed to do where. So we're active on the file. Thank you. Any other questions?
No, Mr. Mayor, that's it for first question period. I'm going to summarize very quickly how we're going to proceed for second question period. So going forward, we have a section on the Côte Saint-Luc website in the council meeting section. And residents can submit their questions by filling out the online form for second question period. And again, a reminder, second question period is for questions that are on tonight's agenda. Donc, je vais répéter en français. Pour la deuxième période de questions, sur le site web de la ville, dans la section Séance du conseil, il y a un formulaire interactif pour les résidents qui veulent remplir ou soumettre une question à la deuxième période de questions. Je rappelle que les questions doivent être en lien avec l'ordre du jour de ce soir. Merci.
Thank you. Okay, so that being done, we're going to be moving to the next item, which is approval of the minutes. Councillor Cohen.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I so move that the minutes from the regular meeting of December 13th, 2021, the special meeting of December 20th at 6 p.m., special meeting of December 20th at 7 p.m., and the minutes from the special meeting of December 22nd at 6:30 p.m. be approved.
So it's been moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Azarad. All in favor? So it is carried unanimously. And now we move on.
Mayor Brownstein, I also noted at Prevost and I that the minutes of December 13th, 2021 at 8 p.m. of the regular meeting were also approved.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. All right. All right. So then any business arising from the minutes? So move to departmental reports. Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for Parks and Recreation, winter 2022 in-person programming registration and start dates are unfortunately on hold at this time due to the COVID Omicron situation. The status of in-person classes and activities is being evaluated on an ongoing basis. And in the meantime, the Recreation Department is really proud to offer virtual classes such as fitness, Zumba, Tai Chi, mindful meditation, painting, and other activities. Registration is going quite well for these virtual offerings. Residents can take advantage of our outdoor sports and recreation activities, such as our skating rinks in various parks, the Trudeau Park Toboggan Run that's under the auspices of Public Works, and our brand new cross-country ski and snowshoe trails at Trudeau Park, and those should be filled with snow after today's storm. So we hope that you take advantage of all those outdoor offerings. As many people know, the ACC pools have reopened as of January 8th as a bit of a pilot project to see how, to gauge how indoor facilities may function under the COVID Omicron outbreak. The hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for individual lap swim and limited use of the recreation pool, which is restricted to a maximum of 2 family bubbles. Reservations and vaccine passports are absolutely mandatory, and people can reserve online at côtesaintluc.org/ACC, or you can also call. And I'm reminding residents, please, to continue to physically distance, wash hands frequently, mask or double mask as needed, and to please make every effort to stay safe when you participate in any in-person activities. And lastly, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our members of the Parks and Recreation team. They've put in a lot of hard work to plan and organize, and then to replan and reorganize our activities as we've needed to adjust to the COVID conditions. And I also want to encourage all our residents, as they encounter any of our staff, be it recreation or any other department, simple thank you can go a long way, and just to acknowledge a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Schuster. Next, I'd like to present Councillor Erdely, and then Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start by sharing some highlights on the finance side. So first, the budget was adopted in December. And for those that didn't have the opportunity to see the presentation, you can go to côtesaintluc.org/finance. You have the video of the presentation, the PDF. You can also pull up the Excel spreadsheet or PDF of the actual budget and many of the GL codes to get a better sense of the budget that was adopted. Residents also will be receiving 2 items. Well, first one, it'll be a budget flyer that should be going out very shortly to all residents in Côte Saint-Luc. And the next one is the tax bill, which includes the tax flyer, and that'll be going out also in the next week or so. The first installment is due on February 24th, and the second installment is due on May 25th. And just a reminder in general to residents, if you are paying online, to please do it a day or 2 in advance, so that, as we know, it takes sometimes a day, 24 to 48 hours to process. And just also a reminder, residents can opt to receive their bill in an online format only, so not to receive the paper copy, which will also save some paper. A few other points on the finance side. So we've received and processed 463 claims in 2021 for water filter rebates. So again, I encourage residents, especially if you've received your lead sample readings and the readings are a bit high, please go out and get a water filter. Make sure it has the correct NSF ratings. And you can get the one that goes in the pitcher. You can get the above on the one that attaches to the sink or the under sink. You can also get the large jugs that you put in your house. So there's different options. You can go to our city website for more information on that. In terms of car chargers or home chargers, we gave out grants to 43 residents, which was just above our goal of 40 for 2021. So I'm happy that we surpassed the goal. For this year, for 2022, we set the goal at 60 homes. So we hope again to exceed that. On the environmental side, or on the climate change and resiliency side, I want to share some of the numbers in terms of waste diversion. So this is comparing January to November of 2021 to 2020. We don't yet have the December numbers because usually it takes a few weeks. In terms of organic waste, up 5%, recycling up 3%. So I'm glad about that. And garbage down 2%. So residents are diverting more. Also with regard to waste and diversion, all residents should be receiving in the next week or so a reminder card about the black bin. So this is a reminder in terms of what goes in your black bin versus the blue bin and the brown bin. Most residents, I'm sure, know that about 80% of your waste is actually are actually items that could be diverted. So in other words, that could either go in the blue bin or the brown bin. It's only about 20% that is real garbage, if I could say that. So that includes let's say things like old clothing that is not necessarily something you can give away. That includes items like certain plastics like type 6 or polystyrene, also known as styrofoam, which is not recyclable or very, for the most part, not recyclable in Quebec. So, and for example, diapers and items like that are certain items. So again, about 20% is actual true waste. And again, you'll get a reminder card. So we ask residents to put all their actual garbage in the black bin, not beside the black bin, especially on a day like today, or well, days like today. You can imagine collecting waste is not simple. So the goal is for everyone to put their garbage in the black bin. And again, that'll be on the card sent out to homes. And last point, kind of merging the environmental or climate change resiliency and finance. We were tallying up the total grants on two items. So one is what's called the redevance grant, and this is a grant that is based on the diversion of waste, the amount of waste that is produced per capita, and the amount of organic waste that is diverted. And Côte Saint-Luc in 2021 received the highest amount to date at 491,000. So that is a new record for the city. And also in terms of recycling, on a separate grant we get from Receipt Quebec, Côte Saint-Luc got just over 280,000. So also another record for the city. So those are to help offset the cost of waste removal, the cost of recycling, and also last year and this year also helps us offset the cost of purchasing bins when necessary. So those are some of the highlights. Just thinking if there's anything else. So that's it for this week or for this month. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Italy. Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to start off with thanking the mayor for giving me the new portfolio of local commerce. This is a very exciting opportunity. I know that Councillor Burke, who has been working on this file for the last couple of years, and I'm very pleased that she's on the committee. Tanya Abramovich doing a superb job as our staff person. We've already had 2 meetings. And our first initiative is a spotlight on local merchants. And this will be done at least once a month, maybe more. And our first one, I'll see if I could share my screen. Our first one is David Bannon and Sarah Teggy, who are there's a Farmer Prix at the Cavendish Mall and at the Cartier Cavendish. Been doing.
You froze. You froze. You'll have to unshare your screen because you froze. We have some technical difficulties, but we shall continue shortly. The beauty of Zoom. He's frozen. Okay, would anybody else have any comments on the departmental reports until Mike comes back from wherever he is? Anybody else? Departmental reports? No? Okay. All right. When he does come back, we will have him add on to his comments. But in the interim, is he there? I think he just went. He's just went. He's going to come back in a second.
So, Mr. Mayor, I
yes,
just on a point of order, I think we need a mover and a seconder for the monthly report. So.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah,
it was,
I was gonna say
so far it was just moved by
Councillor
Councillor
Schuster.
And wasn't it second? Oh, you didn't second? Okay, okay. Seconded by Councillor Erdely. We'll just continue discussing when Mike comes back. Or not. I guess he's having some more problems. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded, and Mike is back. Are you there, Councillor Cohen?
I don't know where I was when you got knocked off because I was still talking and I didn't realize I'd been knocked off the air. So I had put a picture of David Bannon and Sarah Teggy on the screen. Did it show for a moment?
It didn't show, but you got most of your message out.
All right. So the only thing I know that was cut off is that we are going to be doing this regularly, and I'm looking forward to the input from the public. We want to go district by district. We want to profile our local merchants. We'll have a lot more to share in the coming weeks and the coming months. But very exciting opportunity to profile them, and I think David and Sarah were a perfect beginning for us. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Great initiative. Moved and seconded. All in favor? The departmental reports are carried unanimously. We move to financial services. Councillor Erdely, 5A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that subject to sections 511, 512, and 517 of the Cities and Towns Act, that Côte Saint-Luc City Council orders any attorney at Bélanger Sauvé SENCL to sell the movables contained within the list annexed here with as Annex A due to non-payment of municipal taxes / transfer duties for the 2020 fiscal year and earlier at a public auction on April 13, 2022 at the office of the council or by video conference.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So just to give some background on this, so this is something we do as a matter of procedure every year. So this is regarding residents or taxpayers who are more than 2 years behind, or 2 years, 2 years plus behind in terms of their payment on taxes. Just a few weeks ago, there were 95 residents on this list. It's now down to 79. And in at least the last 16 years that I've been a councillor, and I believe several years even beyond that, we've never actually sold a property for non-payment of taxes. However, this is an exercise we do, and in case we reach that point. Now, again, we hope that it won't happen, and our city, our treasurer, and our legal department as well work very hard to reach out to residents to encourage and remind them to pay their taxes. And we hope, again, by the time we get to April 13th, this will be down to 0. Just one note to mention, it is slightly higher. Last year at this point, we were at 65. So right now, again, we're at 79. It is slightly higher this year. The timing was also a little bit different last year because we adjusted the timing by a few months. So that could be cause. Obviously, COVID has had effect on many families as well, but we're going to do our best to reach out to all these families again very shortly. Thank you.
And just some other good piece of news. The treasurer circulated a pared down list today, which had some of the accounts cleared, or at least the arrears cleared, which was very nice. And also certain amounts on the pared down list that are indicated in red don't form part of the list, which is even better news because it's a few fewer amounts.
Very good. So it's moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? It's carried unanimously, and we go to the next item. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the city treasurer be authorized to bid on behalf of the city for the amount of arrears corresponding to municipal taxes, interest, penalties, and costs at the municipal auction to be held on April 13th, 2022 at 2 p.m.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Okay.
So as a follow-up to the previous item, so this is in the event, and again, we hope that that will not happen, but in the event that we actually do have an auction of a property for non-payment of taxes on April 13th, this authorizes the city treasurer, Angela Marino, to bid on behalf of the city for the property in question.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Okay, Councillor back now. Carried unanimously. And now we move to the next item, which is C. disbursements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of December 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021 for a total amount of $4,694,496.94 in Canadian funds, and that Treasurer Certificate number 21-0166 dated January 10th, 2022 has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku, I think. Okay. Any discussion?
So just to give a bit more information, so this is slightly higher than the average at roughly 4.7 million. Usually our average is between $3 to $4 million, and the largest piece in this month is payments for road work that was done in 2021, which is about $1 million worth of road work, or $1 million that we're paying right now. There's also some work on Kerwin Park that we're paying, and some of the other bigger items were snow removal and our monthly fees for water repairs to the network. So those were some of the highlights of the month.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Councillor Cones in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to the next item. And there are many, adoption of loan bylaws. And we'll start with the first one and we'll move forward. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll read the first one.
Yeah.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2582, entitled bylaw 2582, authorizing a loan of $1,743,000, including professional fees for the replacement of various lead service lines throughout the territory of the city of Côte Saint-Luc, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Pajowski. It's in your portfolio. Any discussion?
So first of all, I'll give some general information, then I'll go into this specific one, and there'll be quite a few coming up. So first, just in general, what these bylaws do is it allows the city to borrow money, and these have to be approved by the provincial government. Now, I should mention a few things. Even though the bylaws are adopted, we don't necessarily borrow the money, because sometimes we're able to get some grants that offset these costs, and we're able to, in certain cases, to borrow less money. We also, as a city, have the right to not continue with the project. So if we get, for example, the bids and the tenders and they're, too much over budget, then we have that option as well. So just to mention that. Now, in terms of this one, so this is $1,743,000 for lead service line replacements and so on. For next year, the plan is to do 58 service line replacements and 887 pneumatic excavation. And the pneumatic excavation is where we do a small, let's say a small excavation or a small dig just on the service line, and we do an examination of the pipe to see whether it is lead or copper, and we look to see whether it's the city side versus the resident side, which one is copper, which one is lead, and so on. So again, that is the plan for 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's been moved and seconded. All in favor? All in favor? Councillor Sabag is in favor. Councillor Sabag in favor. Or Councillor Sabag? Nobody hears me. Maybe on mute. Well, it's carried with Councillor Sabag not necessarily hearing me. I'm not sure why he's not hearing. You all hear me? Yeah. Okay. Maybe somebody wants to send a chat message to one of staff wants to chat with Councillor Sabag and see if he hears us. Okay, so it's carried with Councillor Sabag. We'll see. Now we move on to the next one, please, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2583, entitled bylaw 2583, authorizing a loan of $882,000, including professional fees for the purchase and installation of residential water meters at various locations in the territory of the city of Côte Saint-Luc, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Gajowski. Any discussion?
So I'll give some background on this. Currently, the city has put in place water meters at all the ICI. So those are the industrial, commercial, and institutional establishments within the territory of Côte Saint-Luc. We have not done it. We have not installed water meters on residential property, so in homes duplexes, and so on. So this is a sort of a pilot project that we're doing. It's in conjunction with the agglomeration, and I believe it's actually required by the agglomeration as well, to install 380 water meters. So we'll see how this goes in 2022. And long term, the goal is to eventually have water meters at all properties to be able to get a better sense on the water use and hopefully to reduce the consumption of water overall.
Moved by Councillor Early, second by Councillor Kajewski. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. Now we move on to the next one, which is, go ahead, Councillor Early. 2584.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me just make sure I'm reading. I just want to make sure I'm reading the right one. Be it resolved that bylaw 2584, entitled bylaw 2584, authorizing a loan of $988,000, including professional fees for the resurfacing of roads and sidewalk repairs at various locations belonging to the city of Côte Saint-Luc, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Early, seconded by Councillor Savag. Go ahead, Councillor Early.
So this is, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is to repave and resurface the roads at certain portions in the city of Côte Saint-Luc. So the first one that is scheduled is Haywood between Einstein and Killard. The second one is Mather between Wentworth and Palmer. The third one is Schweitzer Road. And the last one is the fire station parking lot. Although I should mention the fire station parking lot is a sort of, there's a caveat there that the city of Montreal will pay for at least a portion of this, as it is the city of Montreal, of course, that is using, or the agglomeration that is using the fire station right now. So those are the roads and the parking lot that is scheduled for 2022. Thank you.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? And no one's opposed. It's carried unanimously. We move to the next bylaw, which is 2585.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2585, entitled bylaw 2585, authorizing a loan of $635,000, including professional fees for the purchase and installation of LED streetlights at various locations in the territory of the city of Côte Saint-Luc, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Early, seconded by, I know Councillor Early moved it, and who would like to second it? I know he loves LEDs, but we need a seconder. Okay, Councillor Sabag, any discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So to date, what the city has done is replaced all the streetlights that are what we call Cobra heads. So these are the lights you'll see on Côte Saint-Luc Road, on Cavendish, on certain stretches of Mackle. There's a few side streets, Blossom, for example. There's certain stretches of Smart, small stretches of Hudson and Wolseley as well that have these Cobra heads. There's a few exceptions for those that have noticed on Westminster. There's about a handful that have not yet been done. There were some issues there, so those are scheduled to be done in the spring. But basically, we've done all the Cobra heads. The next phase, and that's where this comes into effect, is replacing what we call the cubes. So those are the cubic lights that are on some of the side streets. And that'll be done over a few years because we have about 2,500 of those cubes throughout the city. So it'll take a few years, but eventually we'll have them all replaced with more energy efficient LED lights. Thank you.
Okay. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, more LED lights. And now 2586.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that, sorry, first I must mention, before I do this, I must mention that there's a slight difference between 2586 that was tabled at the December 22nd meeting and bylaw 2586 that is being adopted, namely that we changed the terms of the financing from 15 years to 5 years. So I wanted to mention that first, and I'll get into the explanation in a moment. Be it resolved that bylaw 2586, entitled bylaw 2586, authorizing a loan of $210,000 for the purchase and planting of various trees on the territory of the city of Côte Saint-Luc, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Early, seconded by Councillor Ben-Isri. Any discussion?
So first, just to mention, originally we had put the terms of repayment at 15 years. We consulted with the Quebec government, who advised us that the terms of repayment on a tree are 5 years. It sounds a little odd to me, considering we hope that these trees will last a lot more than 5 years. But based on their terms, this is what we had to adjust. So just to make sure everyone is aware of that. In terms of trees in general, since 2015, we planted just over 2,000. So 2,010 trees have either been planted or given out to residents. However, we are still in a tree deficit because we've had to cut down more than 2,000 trees, mostly because of the emerald ash borer. So by planting more trees next year and over the upcoming years, we hope to make that turn that deficit into a surplus of trees. And we encourage residents to plant their own trees as well. We'll be sharing more information about that in the spring as well. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and now it's 2587.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2587, entitled bylaw 2587, authorizing a loan of $263,000, including professional fees for facility upgrades at Trudeau and East Rabin Park in the territory of the city of Côte Saint-Luc, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Early, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is for Trudeau. Well, there's two elements to this in Trudeau Park. So there are some work to be done on the baseball field, including the fences and the lighting. And for Rabin Park, professional services to upgrade the wading pool into a splash pad. So the wading pool at Rabin Park, which has been there for many years, we've had some issues in terms of water infiltration and certain plumbing issues over the years. So that will be upgraded to a beautiful splash pad in the next, well, the professional services would be in 2022, and most likely the work would be done in 2023.
Excellent. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carry unanimously. Splash pad. Next, we go to 2588.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2588, entitled bylaw 2588, for the purchase and installation of an irrigation system at Trudeau Park and the application of the sum of $186,000 taken from the available balance of 2480, from bylaw 2480, I should say, in view of financing an expense of $186,000, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Early, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
So this is to upgrade the irrigation system at Trudeau Park for the baseball fields. First, I should mention the baseball fields at Trudeau are among the best, if not the best, on the island of Montreal. I know I've gone there quite a few times and seen the McGill teams and Cordia teams, baseball teams playing there, because it is they are the, arguably the best baseball field on the island of Montreal. But just to mention, the funding for this project will come from an old bylaw. In this case, it's bylaw 2480, which was the bylaw we used for the Cavendish underpass. So at the time, there were some extra funds of approximately $186,000. So it was our treasurer who found a way to find that perfect match between funds that were borrowed from an old bylaw and a new project. And that way we don't have to borrow new money. We can use money that was already borrowed and redirect it. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And now we move to 2589.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2589, entitled bylaw 2589, authorizing a loan of $84,000, including professional fees for the renovation of the building envelope at the Samuel Moscovich Arena and Singerman Park Chalet, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Early, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is to upgrade the building envelope at the arena and the Singerman Park Chalet. As you may have seen, one of the priorities that the city has been focused on over the last few years is to make sure our facilities are in good shape. We upgraded and redid the building envelope of the City Hall Library Complex a few years ago. We've done a few of the smaller chalets over the years. And for this coming year, it'll be the arena and the Singerman Park Chalet.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to 2590.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just getting to the right page. Be it resolved that bylaw 2590, entitled bylaw 2590, authorizing a loan of $510,000, including professional fees for the repairs of the roof at the Aquatic and Community Center building situated at 5794 Parkhaven Avenue, and reconstruction of the rooftop structures at City Hall situated at 5801 Cavendish Boulevard, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Early and seconded by Councillor Schuster. All in favor?
Oh, well, I'll just, if I may just, if I may just
okay,
mention.
I'm sorry, we didn't discuss that one. It's a big one. It's true, it's a big one.
So if I may just mention a few things. So this covers two buildings. So it covers the Aquatic Center, the ACC, and the City Hall. So for the Aquatic Center, it's to to repair the roof of the building, in particular where we've had some water issues over the pool. And in terms of City Hall, we actually redid the roof at City Hall a few years ago. However, we have certain structures, certain skylight structures and so on that are on the roof where we've had some water infiltration. So this is to do the repairs of those structures to prevent any water from entering the building. Thank you.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? No one's opposed, it's carried unanimously, and now we move to 2591.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2591, entitled bylaw 2591, authorizing a loan of $140,000 for the purchase of vehicles and equipment, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Ben-Isri. Any discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is to cover two vehicles. So one is a cargo van that's going back to 2010 that we're going to be replacing and hopefully with an electric vehicle as for the plan. And the other is for either a hybrid or an electric SUV that will replace our 2012 ambulance. So those are the two vehicles in terms of this bylaw for light vehicles.
Okay, so we moved and seconded, all in favor? No one's opposed, so it's carried unanimously. We move to 2592.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2592, entitled bylaw 2592, authorizing a loan of $530,000 for the purchase of heavy vehicles and heavy vehicle equipment, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Ben-Isri. Any discussion?
So I'll share. This is so the previous one was for the lighter vehicles. This is this is for the heavier vehicles. So this includes a 10-wheeler, so a 10-wheeler with a dump truck. So this is replacing a 2003 vehicle. There's also a salt box. So this is a box that we put on the back of a truck that replaces a 2006 equipment, and the oldest, probably the oldest vehicle in our fleet, because we, over the last few years, we had a few in the 60s and 70s. But we are replacing our 1976 Zamboni, which is almost as old as I am. And it's still sitting, if you pass by the annex, you'll see it sitting in the back there. So the 1976 Zamboni will be replaced with a new electric Zamboni. So that's coming in 2022. And that's it for the bylaws. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So that's been moved and seconded. All in favor? No one's opposed. It's carried unanimously. We move to Human Resources. 6A, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council ratifies the contract renewals of Lawrence Carrier and Linda Babbins as swim coaches effective January 2nd, 2022. That Treasurer's Certificate number 22-0033 dated January 10th, 2022 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajowski. Any discussion?
No discussion. It's a
all of
straight-
these items from A to
Yes.
D deal with swim coaches for the various swim teams, masters program, triathlon program, swim team. It's all swim.
I'll swim. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Mr.
Related.
Mayor.
And we'll be going from one to the next. So we have 4 of them. Moved and
Okay.
seconded, all in favor. All in favor, Councillor Cohen? Excellent. Carried unanimously, and we move on to B. Councillor
Thank you,
Schuster.
Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council ratifies the contract renewal of Ethan Kurzer as swim coach effective January 2nd, 2022. That Treasurer's Certificate number 22-0035 dated January 10th, 2022 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajowski. And then same discussion, I guess. They're all similar. All in favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we'll go to the renewal of a contract for swim coach for Masters. Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council ratifies the contract renewal of Octavian Gutu as Masters head coach effective January 2nd, 2022. That treasurer's certificate number 22-0034 dated January 10th, 2022 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajowski. All in favor? No one's opposed. It's carried unanimously, and we move to the renewal of a contract for swim team triathlon coach. Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council ratifies the contract renewal of Kyla Rollinson as triathlon coach effective January 2nd, 2022. That treasurer's certificate number 22-0036 dated January 10th, 2022 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajowski. Any discussion? All in favor? No one's opposed. Carried unanimously, and we move to legal services. Legal services 7A. Councillor Cohen.
Mayor, let me just get my place here. Sorry. I so move that Councillor Dita Burku is and shall be named Mairesse Suppléant of the city of Côte Saint-Luc effective January 17th, 2022 up to and until the January 2023 regular meeting of council inclusively, and further that the aforementioned Councillor Burku shall have and may exercise the powers of mayor when the said mayor is absent or unable to perform the duties of this office.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
I'll just add, Mr. Mayor, that I've said it at previous meetings. I think this is a long time in coming. We're a very large city. We have a large council when you consider other municipalities. There's 8 councillors. And I think, having a temporary pro mayor for 3 months you really not got a chance to really get your feet wet in terms of in the event that you have to step in. Having somebody, and certainly a councillor who's been in office for 3 decades, like Councillor Burku, fulfilled this role, I think is a confidence booster for the entire council as well. So thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried with Councillor Azarad dissenting, and we move to item 7B. Councillor Burku.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for that vote of confidence. I will move on to item 7B. Fortunately, I had a little hiccup in my agenda, so 1 second. 366. Okay, got it. There you go. Okay, so I hereby give notice of motion of bylaw 2581. I guess that's right. Bylaw 2581, governing the terms of publication of public notices, will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. And I further mention that the object and scope of bylaw 2581, to be entitled bylaw 2581, governing the terms of publication of public notices, is basically to allow the city to publish the notices on our website when public notification is required. Then I shall table I'm hereby tabling draft bylaw 2581 entitled bylaw 2581 governing the terms of publication of public notices. And the bylaw is in effect attached here to the agenda. And we will be adopting the bylaw at the next public meeting. So this is going to allow us to publicize, notices that we would have normally put in the newspaper. And in this case, we're going to be able to put them and to publish them on our website. And we will mention that every single time that we adopt a bylaw or notice that needs public notification. We will mention that it'll be on our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Berku. And now we move on to the next item, Parks and Recreation, 8A, Councilor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Redox Piscine et Spa Incorporé for the maintenance of pools for the 2022 year for an amount not to exceed $50,077 plus applicable taxes. That treasurer certificate number 22-0030 dated January 10th, 2022 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Okay, moved by Councilor Schuster, seconded by seconder, Councilor Kajewski. Any discussion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just the maintenance awarded to service the outdoor municipal pool, the tennis club pool, the Itzhak Rabin wading pool before it becomes a splash pad, and the aquatic and community center pools.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor? All in favor, Councilor Cohen, Councilor Kajewski. Okay, everybody's in favor. No one's opposed. Carried unanimously. We move to 8B, Councilor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw entitled Bylaw 2577, creating the fee schedule for cultural, sports, and leisure activities for spring and fall of 2022 be and is hereby adopted and numbered 2577.
Moved by Councilor Schuster, seconded by Councilor Kajewski. Any discussion?
Essentially, it is the fee schedule for the programming for the spring and fall of 2022.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to Public Works. Councilor Ben-Isri, 9A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, just gonna go back to my. Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc, par la présente, octroie un contrat pour l'entretien des bacs de recyclage et des bacs.
More technical difficulties. Councilor Ben-Isri, you might have to turn off your, if you hear me, you might have to turn off your camera because we're not hearing you. But if you turn off your camera, your internet will be better. So if you do hear me, just turn off your camera and let's try again. Otherwise, I will have Councilor, whoever wishes to step in. Councilor Kajewski, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can, well, maybe just briefly speak to this quickly, if assuming Sydney comes back in a sec. I just wanted to mention that in the potential discussion on this resolution that many of my residents mentioned that the new black bins have begun to get getting eaten through with squirrels and so on, holes. My own has a little hole in it already. This contract actually covers damages that have been caused to the new black bins that we've rolled out. So if you are one of those residents who has had some damage to your bin, like me, to these new bins, then this is, contact our Public Works Department, and this contract will get that repair done for you.
Thank you, Councilor Kajewski. Councilor Ben-Isri is back. Now, Councilor Ben-Isri, if your internet's not good, you may have to turn off your camera. I don't know if you're frozen again. So in the meantime, Councillor Kajewski, please move the resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc hereby awards a contract for the maintenance of recycling and garbage bins for the 2022 year to USD Global Inc. for an amount not to exceed $50,000 plus applicable taxes. Treasurer Certificate number 22-0031 dated January 10th, 2022 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Kajewski, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any further discussion? All in favor? Councillor Erdely has discussion. Go ahead.
All right, just one, if I may, just one point to mention. As Councillor Kajewski shared, if the residents have issues with their bins, they can definitely call the city and we'll replace them. But I was going to say one way to prevent squirrels from going after your black bin is if you put all your food waste in the brown bin, then the squirrels won't be attracted to it. So I haven't had any issues yet with my black bin, because we try to put all our food waste in the brown bin. So just a reminder, if you don't want issues with the black bin, put the food waste in the brown one. Thank you.
But
Sorry,
will the squirrels eat the brown bin?
the squirrels might go
No.
after they may have to go after the brown bin, but that's a different discussion. Anyway.
No, I'd like to add
Just tell
something.
me, we do have super duper brown bins?
We have super duper brown bins. Yes, we do. And that's why the brown bins are lasting.
Squirrel
And
protected,
if you
squirrel
put all
protected.
your organic waste in the brown bin, as I do, I hardly have any garbage. And it's important. It's not a joke. I mean, we are saving money and we are helping the environment. So you want to keep your black bin, your garbage bin in good shape. Only put, your really what is waste. So, soiled plastics, soiled wrappers, things that can't go in the recycling, can't go in the brown bin. But the brown bins, yes, it's meant for organic waste.
I have holes in my brown bin, but anyway, I'll have to make
I
it a new
don't.
brown bin. I do have holes in my brown bin, just little ones.
We'll get into a discussion about cayenne pepper spray as well, but I think we'll save that for a later time.
All right. Okay, so that one's been moved and seconded. All in favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Councillor Ben-Israel's having technical difficulties though. So now we move to item 9B. Councillor Kajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Entrepreneur Paysagiste Strathmore, 1997 Limité, for tree maintenance services pursuant to the terms of the public tender C-01-22-26 for an amount of $35,000 plus applicable taxes per year and an amount of $175,000 plus applicable taxes for the entire term of the contract, including the option years, that the city reserves its rights in its discretion to exercise the option years 2025 and 2026, that Treasurer's Certificate 22-0028 dated January 10th, 2022 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Kajewski, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
Well, I'm sure, Dita, if you want to comment, or Councillor Burku,
Tree
want to
maintenance.
comment on this, or
Services.
Stephen, I think we're all in favor of trees and making sure that we maintain them properly. And of course, plant as many trees as possible to rebuild our tree canopy.
Councillor Erdely.
Just to mention a quick point, I was reading in the reports, we had, I guess it was back in November, December, we had a very strong windstorm, if you recall. Winds, 40, 50, 60 kilometers an hour. There were a few, and if you notice in our public works report, they mentioned some carports or tempos that were actually flipped over because of the strong wind. But they were saying, thankfully, we had very few branches that came down. And that is partly because we've worked hard in terms of, tree pruning and, felling when necessary and so on. So because of the maintenance of our public works department and partly helped with the contract, we've managed to, have far fewer branches falling when there's strong windstorms than other cities, or at least, on a comparable scale. So anyway, just wanted to add that as an FYI.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to item 9C. Councillor Kajewski.
Would Councillor Schuster like to move the resolution? It's with regards to the aquatic center HVAC maintenance. I'll do it if not.
She was going to second it, but it's okay.
Okay, I can move
Either way,
it. Or unless
either way.
Sydney, I see Sydney's moving again. Sydney, do you want
Sydney,
to?
you're moving. How
yeah,
you doing,
You're moving,
Sydney?
Sydney.
Sorry, I had an issue with my internet connection.
You could try. Well, let's try. We're on C now. We got through the other two. By the
C,
way, do
okay.
you vote in favor of item A and B? You vote in favor of A and B, right?
Yes.
Sure. So you can add them to the vote. But now we'll go to C.
So I just have to go back,
Page, you're on page 421 for the
Yes,
English or
yes.
420 for
But
the
I have-
French?
I think 420, yeah. Okay, I'm going, give me 1 second, I'm going to be there now. Ok. Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le conseil de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc renouvelle par la présente les 2 contrats existants avec Colostat Incorporé pour l'année 2022 selon les modalités suivantes. Un contrat d'entretien CVCA préventif tout inclus pour le bâtiment du centre aquatique et communautaire pour la période débutant le 1er janvier 2022 et se terminant le 31 décembre 2022 pour un montant de 42 107 $ plus les taxes applicables. Un contrat d'entretien CVCA préventif régulier pour 9 des installations de la ville, à savoir le gymnase, la caserne de pompiers, travaux publics, parcs et loisirs, chalet numéro 1 et 3 du parc Pierre-Éliott Trudeau, chalet du parc Rembrandt et les 3 stations de pompage de la ville pour la période débutant le 1er janvier 2022 et se terminant le 31 décembre 2022 pour un montant de 18 474 $ plus les taxes applicables. Que le certificat du trésorier numéro 22-0029 a été émis le 10 janvier 2022 pour attester de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Proposé par le conseiller Denizzi et appuyé par le conseiller Schuster. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
Just to mention, this is a renewal of 2 contracts for preventive maintenance of the HVAC systems at the Aquatic and Community Center and other municipality buildings.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Nope. We carried unanimously. Councillor Kajewski, you voted on this one? Favor? Yeah, good. Okay. Unanimously approved. And now we go to purchasing and general counsel. 10A, Councillor Burke. It's a notice of motion on the Code of Ethics bylaw.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just going to advance. Okay, so be it resolved, hang on. I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2579 be entitled bylaw readopting bylaw 2575, adopting a code of ethics and good conduct for the elected municipal officials of the city of Côte Saint-Luc. And I hereby table draft bylaw 2579 be entitled bylaw readopting bylaw 2575, adopting a code of ethics and good conduct for the elected municipal officials of the city of Côte Saint-Luc.
Okay, so that's it.
And yes, so according to the Municipal Ethics and Good Conduct Act, we're required to have a code of ethics, and we also are required to update that code of ethics on a regular basis. So we are doing that now, and it'll be adopted at the next council meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Burku. And now we move on to urban development, 11A, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract for the purchase of electric vehicle charging stations for the arena parking lot and 8100 Côte Saint-Luc Road to Ad NLG Smart Charging Solutions for an amount not to exceed $25,795.03 plus applicable taxes, and that the described expenses shall be financed in the whole from the city's working fund as a non-interest-bearing loan, and that the council shall provide every year out of its general fund a sum sufficient to repay the loan back into the working fund, that the terms of repayment shall not exceed 5 years, and that Treasurer Certificate number 22-0032 dated January 10th, 2022 has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Gajowski. Any discussion?
So just to give a bit more background, so in our bid to further electrify the city fleet and also to encourage residents to purchase electric vehicles, we're continuing to add more charging stations throughout the city. So today, what we're looking at is 2 double or 4 chargers at the arena parking lot. So this will be for the use of residents. If you're going to the arena to play hockey, to go skating, going to Trudeau Park, you can plug in your vehicle and recharge it while you're enjoying the time there. We're also purchasing a double charger for 8100 Côte Saint-Luc Road, which is our EMS headquarters or public safety headquarters. And this will be used for city vehicles and for employee use. And the goal here, again, is, as mentioned earlier, is to replace this year one of our EMS vehicles, a 2012 model, with an electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid vehicle. They're still finalizing, I know, the choice, but over time, we hope to fully electrify the fleet. And just to mention one that is not on today's agenda, but will be coming shortly, is 2 charging stations, so a double charger at just beside Fletcher Park on Bailey Road, and that will be the first on-street charging station in Côte Saint-Luc. So we're just waiting for final approval from our engineering department with applying to Hydro-Quebec. So that should be coming very shortly, and I hope to have more information to report on this topic at next month's meeting. Thank you.
Councillor Gajowski. Yes.
Just to briefly mention, Mr. Mayor, yes, I'm in total agreement, and Stephen Erdely, our Councillor Erdely, and I are on the same page when it comes to this. I'd just like to say our council now is comprised of 37.5% of electric vehicle owners. We have added Councillor Seabag, and I have it on good authority, we will soon add Councillor Burku to our team of electric vehicle owners, as well as 1 member of the senior management staff, Associate City Manager Abramovich. So we're making progress. I think we should keep pushing, keep putting the pressure on.
Absolutely. I want that to be my next card too. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to item 12. We're into the urban development part of the meeting. So Councillor Gajowski, we have item 12, starting at the top, 12A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So let me just get to it. So this is the notice of motion and tabling of the draft bylaw, or adoption, I should say, of the draft bylaw of our new construction bylaw. So I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2593 to be entitled construction bylaw will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. I also mentioned the object and scope of bylaw 2593 to be entitled construction bylaw. More specifically, this is an update to the city's current construction bylaw and creates reference to the current National Building Code, along with the addition of some new provisions, for example, but not limited to, Section 3.2 on sustainable construction techniques, Section 3.4 requiring carbon monoxide detectors, 3-stream waste chutes in new multifamily construction, as well as Section 5.1 concerning updated building permit application requirements. Also,
the adoption of the bylaw.
Go to the adoption of the bylaw. Whereas under ministerial order number 2021-054, any procedure other than a referendum that is part of the decision-making process of the municipal body that involves the movement or gathering of citizens may be replaced by a 15-day written consultation, which will be announced by public notice. Whereas ministerial order number 2021-054, when applicable, supersedes the provisions of the Act respecting land use planning and development in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. Be resolved that in conformity with the Act respecting land use planning and development, that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby adopts draft bylaw number 2593 to be entitled construction bylaw. that in lieu of the public consultation meeting provided by paragraph 2, section 125 of the Act respecting land use planning and development, the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby declares that a 15-day written consultation as per provincial order in council number 2021-054 be held, and said written consultation will commence as of the date of publication of the public notice to that effect.
Moved by Councillor Kajewski and seconded by, it says I'm muted. Am I? No. Moved by Councillor Kajewski, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
Just to briefly mention that aforementioned 15-day written consultation period, I believe begins on, correct me if I'm wrong, Maître Prévost, January 26th. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that is correct. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? All in favor, Councillor Cohen? Carried unanimously. We move to the next item B, Councillor Kajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a sec, just scroll through my agenda here. I got a construction bylaws huge. Okay. Councillor Erdely, you don't have the page handy, do you?
Sorry, give me 1 second.
41.
I went too far. Oh, here. Yeah, I've got it. Piping bylaw. Okay. So here we go. Notice of motion. I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2594 to be entitled Bylaw Concerning the Piping of Drinking Water, Wastewater, and Stormwater will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. I will also mention the object and scope of bylaw 2594 to be entitled Bylaw Concerning the Piping of Drinking Water, Wastewater, and Stormwater. Oh, I'm also tabling the draft bylaw 2594 entitled Bylaw Concerning the Piping of Drinking Water, Wastewater, and Stormwater.
Excellent. Now we move to a site planning and architectural integration program, 12.1A. Councillor Kajewski.
Thank you,
55,
Mr.
60,
Mayor.
Are we going to put these on the screen? 55,
Yes, Councillor Erdely.
65, Robinson.
Okay. So I think Councillor Erdely, I don't know if you're sharing already. We'll go to page 577.
Okay.
This is a project at 5565 Robinson. This is the approval of the design of said project. I believe that PAC was unanimous in its recommendation to approve this design. See it up on the screen? We do. Okay. Resolution is, oh, sorry. I apologize, the agenda is very large tonight. Here we go. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing an extension to an existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1561092 at 5565 Robinson and prepared by Construction Précéance for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of November 30th, 2021, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Kajewski, seconded by Councillor Burku. It's your district. Any discussion? More than that, we saw the picture. All in favor? It is carried with Councillor Cohen in favor, carried unanimously. And now we move to 5765 Wentworth, Councillor Kajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is for an extension, a rear extension, and a partial second story addition to a home on Wentworth. I'd like to thank staff on this one. They worked very closely with the residents, with the architects to find a project that was in the end, a very good compromise, and integrates very well into the streetscape of Wentworth. Seeing it on the screen, we are. So there we go. So that's the view from the street and the rear extension, which really doesn't impede or infringe too much on the attached neighbor. This is, of course, a semi-detached home, which is a much trickier extension project.
Okay.
Right. So be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing a rear extension and partial second story addition to an existing semi-detached single family dwelling on lot 105-2155 at 5765 Wentworth, and prepared by Dev Miko for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of November 30th, 2021, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Jaski, seconded by, it's Wentworth, I think it's Councillor.
That's my
Sabag.
district.
Oh yeah, it's your district. Councillor Sabag seconding it. Any more discussion on it? No, all in favor? All in favor of that extension. Carried unanimously, and now we move to 5783 Leger.
Okay, so this as well is a second story addition to a home on Leger. And again, I'd like to thank staff for working with the design of this project. They again compromised a little bit to make sure that the home integrated well with the existing homes on the street. They lightened up the look of the house a little bit. The original project was much darker and stood out much more, those black markings. So they lightened the color of the brick or the stonework on the home. It'll also make a very good addition to the street, I believe.
Okay.
That said, be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing a second story addition to an existing detached single family dwelling on lot 1052492 at 5783 Leger and prepared by Alt and Agapi Architect for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of November 30th, 2021, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Kujawski, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Councillor Sabag, or who wants to say? Great. Any more discussion? All in favor? It is carried unanimously. Now we move on to the next item, which is 7480 Spring.
We have one more in Wavell, Mr. Mayor, 12.1D,
7059
7059 Wavell.
Wavell. 7059 Wavell first. Okay.
So just a quick comment on the previous three projects. So these, all three are extension projects in my district, in District 5. Just to say that urban planning staff are working on what are called guidelines for future projects of this nature. So we'll hopefully have these guidelines in place in the coming year and be able to better guide residents who want to plan future extensions on their homes, either building a second floor, building out. We'll give them a more clear guide on what can't be done, what we recommend in terms of integrating homes into the streetscape. So just a comment on that. This project on Wavell is a rear extension, much less invasive or more minor project than the previous three. Okay, so be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing a rear extension to an existing semi-detached single-family dwelling on lot 105-4415 at 705 Wavell and prepared by Group Masella for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of November 30th, 2021, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Kujawski, seconded by Councillor Ben-Isri. Any discussion?
Again, very nice project that fits in very well to the existing stonework and brick.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? No, so it's carried unanimously, and we move to the next item, which is 7480 Spring.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is just kind of the making an existing balcony into a Four Seasons solarium. So basically covering the balcony with glass, I guess. All right, have it up.
Nice.
There you go. I could do something like this in my home.
Very
Okay,
nice.
here we go. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing an extension to an existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 105-4319 at 7480 Spring and prepared by Yvonne Duval, technologue professionnel en architecture, solarium espace de vie, for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of November 30th, 2021, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
So it's been moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion? All in favor? No one's opposed. It's carried unanimously, and we moved on to the minor exemptions. So back to Robinson.
Oh, we have one more item.
Oh yeah, we're Borden, 5,500
Just
Borden.
yeah, very
The
straightforward
multi-family
item.
apartment.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward item. It's just a change in the look of this freestanding sign in front of the building at 5,500 Borden. So we don't have it. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Councillor Erdely. So there we go. That's the original sign up on the left in burgundy. The new sign in blue on the right. I think it's very nice. I thought it was a little strange with that comma. We had a discussion about that comma. It looked like a typo to me. It turns out it's not. It's part of their branding that they put on their sign. So we let the comma go. Find it a little strange, but a comma is a comma is a comma. There we go. So be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing a modification to an existing freestanding sign in front of the multifamily dwelling on lot 1560757 at 5,500 Borden and prepared by International Neon for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of November 30th, 2021, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Okay, so it's been moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Burku. It's your district. And all in favor? All in favor. Great. It's carried unanimously. And now we go on to minor exemptions. Councillor Kajowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so back to Robinson, like you said. So this is just to allow just a small change in the rear setback of the home, of an existing home. Fortunately, that is the difference being, I believe it was about 8 inches or so, difference 0.2 meters. So be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G 18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5565 Robinson, lot 1561092, be and is hereby approved. The whole is more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the existing detached single-family dwelling built in 1957 under permit number 1957-00386 to maintain its current rear setback of 8.15 meters instead of the minimum required setback of 8.35 meters, and to allow the construction of a rear extension to be built along that existing rear setback of 8.15 meters. The whole, notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217 Annex B, Zone RU2, and Article 4-4-3.
Moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Burku. And that's a minor exemption, so all in favor. Carried unanimously. And now we go to Wentworth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so this is to grant a minor exemption for, I believe, related to parking. Hold on. Yeah, exactly, because the extension of the house is happening. This minor exemption will allow them to not have to provide a two-car garage for the home. So be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5765 Wentworth, lot 1052155, be and is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the construction of an extension to an existing semi-detached single-family dwelling without having to provide a two-car garage, existing one-car garage, when the dwelling's proposed area is greater than 167.22 meters squared or 1,800 square feet, excluding the area of the garage and of the basement floor. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of bylaw number 2217, article 7-2-1A.
Moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Schuster. And it's a minor exemption, so no, any discussion? All in favor? All in favor, carried unanimously, and now we go to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is two minor exemptions for the home, again, back to Léger, 5783 Léger. These minor exemptions are, one of them, or two of them, I should say, are very minor with regard to the front setback and the lateral setback. And the other is related to the height, which we worked with them on for the purpose of, really, we said, we prefer a sloped roof on the home as opposed to a sloped roof and a bit more height, as opposed to a shorter house and a flat roof. So that was the compromise and a bit of the background on the back and forth with Urban Planning Department. So thanks to the department for negotiating and finding that compromise for us. Where am I? Sorry, I lost my resolution. Okay, be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5783 Léger, lot 1052492, be and is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the existing detached single-family dwelling built in 1957 under permit number 1957-00371 to maintain its current front setback of 4.5 meters instead of the minimum required setback of 4.57 meters, and to maintain its current southwest lateral setback of 1.73 meters instead of the minimum required lateral setback of 1.98 meters, and to allow the construction of a second story on the existing detached single-family dwelling along the existing front setback of 4.5 meters instead of the minimum required setback of 4.57 meters, and along the existing southwest lateral setback of 1.73 meters instead of the minimum required lateral setback of 1.98 meters. I hope you got all that. And with a building height of 27 feet, 7.5 inches instead of the maximum allowed height of 25 feet measured from the city sidewalk as per the zoning bylaw, which states that the maximum authorized height of any building in the concerned zone shall be neither inferior nor superior by more than 25% in relation to the average height of the neighboring buildings located at less than 30 meters on the same side of the street. The whole, notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, Annex B, Zone RU43, Article 4-4-1, 4-4-2, and 14-11-4.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Cohen. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we move to 5896 Centennial.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is to allow the construction of a solarium on an existing balcony. So similar to the previous resolution, it's to make a covered balcony. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, The request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5896 Centennial, lot 1561385, be and is hereby approved. The whole as more amply delineated here under. The request is to allow the construction of a solarium to be built on the existing balcony built in 2010 under permit number 2010-14605 with an area of 18.83 meters squared instead of the maximum permitted area of 11.61 meters squared, and at 1.87 meters from the common lateral lot line instead of the minimum required distance from the lateral lot line of 2 meters. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, article 4-4-5G.
Okay, moved by Councillor Gajowski, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? It's carried unanimously. We move to Guelph. 7032, 7034 Guelph.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 7032, 7034 Guelph, lot 1054304, be and is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow construction of a second door leading to the basement of a semi-detached two-family dwelling located below the front stairs at an angle from the street instead of a maximum of one exterior door leading to the basement. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw 2217, article 4-6-4.
Okay, so that has been moved by Councillor Gajowski, seconded by Councillor Benizri. It's in your district. Any discussion?
Just to clarify exactly what this is not to create a basement apartment. This is just to have a separate entrance into the basement from the driveway or from the street to this home.
Excellent. Moved and seconded. All in favor? It's carried unanimously, and we move to the next item. Councillor Sabag stands on the to present at the AGLO.
Trying to unmute myself here. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Whereas be it resolved that the council take the following stance in view of any agglomeration council meetings to be held in February 2022 as follows: to authorize the mayor and his duly authorized replacement to make any decisions he deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the agglomeration council meetings to be held on February 2022, based on the information to be presented during these meetings.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. That's the monthly resolution needed in order that I can speak at the AGLO. And is there any other business? Is there a second question? Oh, there is other business. Councillor Berger? Other business? No?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want a point of clarification. It doesn't have to be answered right this minute, but I was reviewing the piping bylaw, and based on our discussion this evening, I thought that it included, the obligation for homeowners to replace the private portion of their pipes once the city would replace the service line. And I just really don't see it in there. And I just wanted to go on the record. I'd like to have a clarification before the bylaw. Well, it's going to public consultation, but I just would like to have that clarification so that we're sure that it's included in this bylaw, because I've read it now throughout the entire meeting and I don't see it. So maybe I'm not finding it. But
Right.
I thought that was going to be included in there.
Supposed to
And
be,
so, okay, thank you. And that's my comment.
supposed to be in there.
All right,
Supposed
okay.
to give them a delay, I think, of 10 years. but
Well,
it's
there's,
supposed to be in there.
I haven't seen it. So in any event, it is, I'm on the record. We'll see how this works out. Doesn't matter if it's not there, we can include it. If it is there, then that's great. Thank you.
Perfect. Excellent. Any other business? Any questions? Second questions?
No, we don't have any second questions.
Okay. All right. All right. So if there are no other questions, I'll ask for a mover to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Cohen. All in favor? It is carried unanimously. I wish everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you for an excellent meeting. Great council, great staff. It's been a pleasure. See you next time. Bye.